Hello and welcome, my dear shining being from all times and all the multiple dimensions. I am Sylvia Hartman, the creator of Modern Energy, and I am a cult survivor. I'm going to create a series of videos to explain how I escaped from the trauma cult in which the entire Western world is, well, caught, trapped, brainwashed. But there is a way out. And so, well, let's begin. Introduction to how I escaped the trauma cult. In 2011, I had my moment of perfect clarity when I realized that I had been trapped in an extremely destructive and unhealthy cult. The cult of trauma. Some call this cult psychology, and I thought it was that too at first, but psychology is simply a reflection of a greater malady that goes deep down into philosophy and how human beings have constructed their cults across the ages. Psychology is, however, the shopfront for the cult of trauma right now, and certainly bears much responsibility for the continuing recruitment and the development of ever more radical wings of the cult, which are ever more destructive in turn. In this book, I'm going to lay out for you, my dear and highly intelligent reader, how I came to understand that I had been indeed trapped in a cult. You can compare this to your own life's experiences, your own true lived experience, as opposed to what we have been taught is right and true. And I will also lay out the simple route to escape this dreadful cult that has nothing beneficial for the human spirit. Having listened to a number of people who have escaped from various cults, particularly from Scientology, and noting that they went essentially from one cult to the other, we need to start with the idea of what a cult is, what it does, and why people join a cult. So, what is a cult? Cult is the derogative term for a thought matrix that has fewer followers than the mainstream cult, which is operating the entire society within the cults exist. The thought matrix is a system of beliefs about the nature of the universe, the world, and what human beings are. Without such a thought matrix, human beings cannot function. This is extremely important to understand. We need a thought matrix, or we will go completely insane. In order not to have to say thought matrix over and over, I'm now going to refer to this simply as the matrix. Please be advised that no matter how free-thinking and free-willed you believe yourself to be, it is impossible to operate as a human being without a matrix. Essential questions such as, who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? What is the purpose of life? Why am I here? What is right and what is wrong? How do I know what to do under any circumstances? Need to be answered, one way or the other. Any matrix is composed of such fundamental high-level components, and all the rules within that matrix flow from these high-level components. For example, the United States of America has a constitution which does not include specific laws, but is a high-level framework, a matrix, which creates all the sub-laws within it. I am the creator of Modern Energy, and at some point I became aware that I was building a matrix. This terrified me, as the very last thing I ever wanted to be is a cult leader, and the very last thing I ever wanted for the people who applied my work was to become cult followers. I thought about this for many decades and finally came to the following conclusions. The current matrices are not healthy. They are extremely destructive, and they do not serve the people, neither on the personal, individual level, not on the societal level, not on the intersocietal levels. If you doubt me, take a look at both the history of the human race as well as turn on any news outlet right here, right now. So, I am building a new matrix. I am trying to build a better matrix than the ones which are currently operating. As a human being, it is my absolute right to attempt to build a new matrix, as all matrices ever were created by other human beings too. So this was a big relief. It took me to the next question, which was, how do you build a matrix that is more beneficial to humanity? How could you ever know that you're not building in something that seemed a good idea at the time? How can you tell right from wrong? Here, to my rescue, came the modern energy chart. The modern energy chart is a representation how people change according to their happiness. In brief, the happier people are, the more empowered they become, the more intelligent, the more reasonable, and the more rational. At +10, love and logic become one and the same, and we are in the best position to know the most. So I made the core of my matrix about making people happier, the shorthand term for improving their emotional states of being. If something moves a person up on the modern energy chart, that is a good thing, and we are going in the right direction. If something moves a person down on the modern energy chart into states of stress, anxiety, anger, and depression, that is a bad thing. With this simple guiding mechanism in place, we can now assess the effects of techniques, methods, laws, and matrices. A matrix built on love. A good question to ask of any matrix is, where is the love? Is there talk about love? Is this love expressed in the laws of the matrix? Does it work in practice? Are the members of that matrix loving among each other and with other matrices that exist? Is this practice of love borne out in practical, beneficial results in success, health, happiness, in mind, body, and spirit of the inhabitants of that matrix? How far is the theory and practice of that matrix diverging from actual reality? What I mean by that is there are many matrices which preach one thing, but behind closed doors do something different completely. That is a reality divergence and a sign that there's something not quite right with that matrix, because all the actions of the inhabitants flow directly from the laws of the matrix. The psychology matrix is quite unique, possibly in the entirety of human history, in that it is the only one that functions completely without love of any kind. Please take a moment. Take a deep breath, and let's repeat that statement. The psychology matrix is quite unique, possibly in the entirety of human history, in that it is the only one that functions completely without love of any kind. How it came to be that something that calls itself the study of the soul, or even the science of the soul, has been trying to get by without a word about love for over a century is incomprehensible, and I personally do not dwell on this. With psychology, we have a matrix, a cult, that does not have any love in it whatsoever. The concept itself is absent. There is no definition of emotions. There is neither a desire to understand emotions, to research them, or even work with them in any meaningful way. There is, however, one single rule, the one ring that rules them all, namely that trauma is the cause of all human suffering and the singular cause for all human negative emotions. This absolute myopic focus on trauma as the new Satan of modern humanity is beyond limiting, beyond destructive, beyond illogical. It creates a spiral of insanity that gets worse and worse until people break as they try to operate within that matrix. Please be advised that now I can see that clearly. You have to be outside any matrix to see the problems with it. Whilst you are inside of it, inside the cult, all the insanity appears perfectly normal. At this point, I would like us to note that all cult survivors know this, have experienced this for themselves. You enter into any matrix, and everything that happens there, no matter how insane, it seems perfectly reasonable. It may even for some time make a person feel better than they did before. A recently escaped Scientologist was super happy and reported that his old life never made sense, but now he realizes that he has ADHD, detachment disorder, and complex PTSD, and he's never been happier. The audience clapped and cheered. I thought, wow, he's gone straight from one cult to the other. There are many, many more such matrices than we are currently aware of. If you look across your life, you will find that you have joined many cults as well already and left them at some point again. Perhaps you were an enthusiastic member of a gamers community, or you went to India for a major yoga retreat. Perhaps you joined a club for knitters or flower arrangers or rabbit breeders, or a political party at some point. There's always a matrix at play, what you can and cannot do, how it all works, and we spend time there fully immersed, and then we drift away again. It's not like we are either in a cult or out of it. We are always engaging with various matrices, big and small. Every human being does that, and especially nowadays when there are so many different types on offer. The most insidious types of matrix, however, are those fish tanks of insanity in which we swim. They're everywhere, they're all around us, expressed in all the modalities of human endeavor, and we are completely unaware that we are inside a destructive cult, trapped inside a bad matrix. I had no idea that I too was inside the grand psychology trauma matrix until the moment when I woke up to it. This is my story. So that was the introduction to the trauma cult. I hope you found it interesting. I am going to read out the rest. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, click the notifications bell. You'll be informed when the next part is available. Thank you for your time and for your attention. And I look forward to seeing you for the next part of the trauma cult. That is called Love is Real. With all my best wishes, lots of love, and bye for now. 30 years ago, I was cancelled for finding out something during my research that was forbidden science. I have, however, continued to research, and I would like to offer you the opportunity to see what I've come up with in the last 30 years. It's not a very big book, as you can see, and it's got lots and lots of pictures in it. And you can download it for free right now at goe.ac/revolution. You can also support me and my work and this channel by buying a hard copy from Amazon. So, yeah, find out for yourself, make up your own mind. I believe in you and your intelligence.